in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and 6 p.m. right here in Cameroon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. First, our major stories. Cameroon's fourth national census is facing growing criticism as enumerators report increasing resistance from citizens who are refusing to take part. Many say the lengthy questionnaires and equally sensitive questions are discouraging participation, and as exercise enters its third phase, field agents warn that without a more adapted approach, the quality of the data collected could be compromised. And also tell you how residents of several villages in North Makumbe, Dobian subdivision, Camp Division in the Lidwa region are calling for urgent reconnection to the national electricity grid after more than 8 years without power. They say the prolonged absence of electricity, safe drinking water, and equally motorable roads has severely impacted daily life, forcing many inhabitants to leave that area. Those are top stories tonight. Good evening once more, and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You're just joining us, then know you're watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Forway. While Cameroon marked the 54th National Day with colorful parades and also patriotic displays, communities across the northwest region used the occasion to reflect on the challenges of conflict, displacement, and also underdevelopment. From Batibo to Zua, Bengui and Widikum, administrative authorities renewed calls for peace, reconstruction, and equally stronger public participation in the ongoing national census exercise, as our Northwest Chief Correspondent, Bostella, tells us.
The 54th National Day has again offered residents of Cameroon's northwest region a moment to reflect on the challenges caused by years of armed conflict and instability.
Who are not been ongoing. And it's really a big problem because it's a gap. It's an irreparable damage to the present generation that we have. And secondly, movement has always been painted by phony calls of ghost towns.
In Batibo subdivision, celebrations focused on resilience and community development, with local officials also calling on internally displaced persons to return as security gradually improves.
Batibo is beginning to gain enough security. I am calling on them to regain their villages so that together let's build a one and indivisible Cameroon.
This nation belongs to us all. It is a day that reminds us how we can put our hands together, what we are supposed to do as citizens of Cameroon, to put our hands together to see that we have development and lasting peace.
From Batibo to Zua in Menchum division, where poor road conditions remain a major challenge, authorities use the event to encourage residents to take part in the ongoing national population census.
Tungom stands to benefit if they are all counted, and we stand a very big risk if we do not get counted in our various villages, in our various households, because we'll be losing a lot in terms of development, we'll be losing a lot in terms of representation, and we'll be losing a lot in showing that we belong to this country.
In Bengui, headquarters of Momol Division, as well as in Widikum, civilian and military march pasts were marked by calls for peace, unity, and social cohesion despite socioeconomic difficulties linked to the Anglophone crisis.
And the massive turnout is showing that we are definitively moving forward.
Across the northwest region, authorities urged residents to reject violence and embrace dialogue as a path towards rebuilding communities affected by conflict.
In the same vein, after years of low-key celebrations caused by the armed conflict, Menji in Libialem Division witnessed a relatively higher turnout during this year's National Unity Day celebrations. Seizing the occasion, the senior divisional officer called on the population to embrace patriotism, peaceful coexistence, and equally responsible citizenship, as Rex Afon tells us.
This year's celebration of the National Unity Day in Libialem has been described by the senior divisional officer as exceptional.
We want to say we are satisfied with the celebration of our National Day in Libialem Division. It has been celebrated in all the sub-divisional headquarters and the divisional headquarters Menji. The turnout was impressive. The participation was good. We observed the military march past our schools, political parties, and dance groups. I think this is the first time in our division that we witnessed this.
From the military parade in Menji, comprising all the ground forces operating in the division, to the colorful displays by schools whose numbers have increased this year, then to political parties and other legalized groups, all carrying out the traditional march past that characterizes the day.
Is secured.
The fun of Fontem, His Majesty Asabatong, graced the celebrations by interacting with students who proudly displayed their love for tradition.
We continue to be beggars of peace. We continue to seek for peace. And that when we have peace, we have many other things that will come to us for the good of the division.
This is the first time such a crowd has turned out since the outbreak of the armed conflict in the area. The senior divisional officer has called for improved collaboration among the population so that lasting peace, capable of guaranteeing development, can be restored.
And still tell you how National Day was celebrated in other parts of Cameroon. Across the littoral and central regions, thousands of Cameroonians came out in their numbers to celebrate the 54th National Day with the colorful marches, cultural dances and honors for citizens contributing to local development. Beyond the celebrations, many also used the occasion to call for stronger national unity and better infrastructure, especially the rehabilitation of the Bumyebel Ezeka Road, as Innocent Aze tells us.
National colors, patriotic rhythms and disciplined march past defined celebrations in Bonalea, found in the Mungu division of the Littoral region, as populations turned out massively to commemorate Cameroon's 54th National Unity Day. The ceremony was chaired by the divisional officer of FICO alongside the mayor of Bonalea Council. We have witnessed and appreciated the strong harmony between civilians and the military, as well as the unity that exists within this cosmopolitan population. The theme of the celebration underscores the need to preserve and strengthen our unity despite our cultural and ethnic differences. The commemorative event went beyond the traditional parade, with several sons and daughters of the locality receiving honorary distinctions for their contributions to community development and national progress.
Il a fallu que le bon Dieu nous assiste.
In the central region, particularly in the Nyangankele division, commemorations unfolded at the newly inaugurated ceremonial square in Ezeka under the supervision of the senior divisional officer. Despite the deteriorating condition of the Bumyebel Ezeka Road, administrative authorities, elites and invited guests answered present for the national celebration. The celebration was successful, but I hope the elites and authorities have taken note of the deplorable state of the roads. Schools, cultural groups, associations and political parties took turns on the ceremonial boulevard, expressing patriotism and national pride through choreographed displays, traditional dances and patriotic songs. From one locality to another, celebrations marking May 20 once more underscored the values of national unity, peaceful coexistence and collective attachment to the ideals and symbols of the Republic.
And now in the report coming up next, we are going to be looking at some mixed scenes that marked the 54th National Day celebrations in Cameroon. We begin this time around in Santa and in Bafut in the northwest region, where civil schools stayed away from the march past, leaving mainly political parties, civil society groups and equally security forces to parade. And in Ebonne, that is in the Mungo division, a minute of silence was observed in memory of the late principal of Government Bilingual High School Manengole, while in Boya, students of the St. Joseph College Sase were nearly stopped from marching before officials intervened. And despite the incidents, authorities say the spirit of unity and national integration remained alive, as Smajikan Gabriel tells us.
The 20th main National Day celebrations in the Southwest region had a few unexpected moments, but the students and communities across different towns made sure the spirit of the day stayed alive. Earlier in the day, students of St. Joseph's College Sase had their march past briefly interrupted by officials who asked them to maintain standard marching formation. The interruption didn't dampen their resolve and the students continued with their participation. At the Santa ceremonial ground, only 2 political parties participated in the march past.
National defense system is a matter of all citizens. That's why we see all this mobilization for our Santa citizens.
The ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM, and the Cameroon People's Party, CPP, a nursery school also joined the procession. In Bafut, no primary or secondary school took part in the march past.
Message of hope that I address to the population of Bafut, because the theme of this year was well chosen for the population of Bafut, the population that have suffered for a while.
It's the progression of peace and unity that we are celebrating today. Just to see that non-Bafutians have benefited from my dad in Bafut shows that Bafut is propagating peace and unity in Cameroon. So I want to keep on calling on the population of Bafut to keep on propagating peace and unity.
The Cameroon National Youth Council, the forces of law and order, and Bafut Council workers represented the community on the field. Over in Ebonne, the celebrations opened with a minute of silence in memory of the principal of Government Bilingual High School, Manengole, who passed away days before the event.
The principal of Lycée Manengole, and we had to honor his memory because we know that teachers are very, very important because they actually transmit knowledge, and it was important that we honor him, and we are addressing our condolences to the family. And as Cameroonians, we have to always remember that development is inclusive. We all have to participate in the development of our country.
Residents were also urged to act as ambassadors of peace during and after the festivities.
Now to talk something else, residents of several villages in North Makumbe, Dobian subdivision, the Camp division of the Lithra region, are pleading for reconnection to the national electricity grid after more than 8 years without power. They say the lack of electricity, portable water and equally good roads has pushed many inhabitants to abandon the area. The communities are now urging authorities to act quickly to restore basic social amenities and revive life in that locality. Smajikan Gabriel once more tells us more.
Electricity poles have fallen on houses. Cables seen haphazardly lying on the ground. And electricity meters which have been abandoned. This is the face of several localities in North Makumbe, found in the NGAM division of the littoral region. For over 8 years, they have been in the dark. I was in town before coming back to the village in Dobian. Things are difficult. Since I came here, 8 years counting, we are in the dark. Everything I brought from town to the village got bad. We have solar lights, but just at the main road. We are in the dark, but people say everything is okay. It's only God that knows what we are going through here.
We suffer, not true.
As a result of lack of electricity in villages like Behak, Ndokolo, Ndotrom, Jumnuma, Ndoto Kwakwak, Ndoto 3, and the headquarters Ndobian, Many of them have decided to leave the villages for better life outside. Those who are still courageous enough to stay back are calling on government intervention.
I'm
begging government to help reconnect us to electricity. Roads, lights and water are the three things keeping people together. But here, we don't have water and other amenities. If government doesn't help us, then we are finished. The people are hoping to be reconnected to electricity with the coming of a new company in charge of distributing electricity.
And now to our major lead story tonight. Cameroon's fourth national census is facing growing criticism as enumerators report increasing resistance from citizens who are refusing to take part. Many say the lengthy questionnaires and sensitive questions are discouraging participation, and as the exercise enters its third phase this Thursday, field agents including Manda Jean Victor warned that without a more adapted approach, the quality of the data collected could be compromised. Malaglari reports on the recent field experience from an enumerator in Bankomo, Yaoundé. Her report.
Our population and housing census is a vital national project. In reality, it is a door-to-door battle in Cameroon. Since the launch of the fourth edition in the country, enumerators like Manda Jean Victor says they are facing locked gates and slammed doors. In a letter dated May 19, 2026, he reveals that it is often impossible to get households to grant them even 5 minutes of their time. They cite the urgency of their daily survival, adding that people find it difficult to accord the agent an hour out of their busy schedule to answer to their questions. After this Thursday, May 21st, the survey will shift to phase 3. These interviews are scheduled to last up to 60 minutes. For large families of farming households, the questionnaires are even longer. In a country where time is money and the informal economy never sleeps, enumerators fear they are being asked to achieve the impossible. But it is not just the length of the questions. Victor reiterates in his letter. It is the content. Enumerators are being asked to dive into the private lives of their neighbors, asking taboo questions regarding abortion and intimate family details. Manda Jean Victor says that as a young person from these same localities, asking a woman about abortion in front of her family is a profound intrusion. It triggers anger, shame, and total closure. The warning from the field is clear. If a new approach is not given to the questionnaires, data will be faked just to meet deadlines. Manda Jean Victor's letter is more than a complaint. It is a warning that the fourth general population and housing census could fail if the human reality of Cameroon isn't taken into consideration.
The report done by Malaglari ends this first part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. Yesterday, Cameroonians celebrated the 54th edition of National Day, commemorating the May 20th, 1972 referendum that transformed the country from a federal state into a unitary state. While many see the day as a symbol of national unity and togetherness, others continue to question whether the ideas behind the historic decision have truly been achieved, especially amid ongoing debate over governance, decentralization, and equally the Anglophone crisis. And to look back at the significance of May 20, 1972, and equally assess the state of national unity, that is 54 years later, we are now joined by Professor NGAM Confidence Chair. He's a professor of political science and also diplomatic history. He's equally the vice dean in charge of admissions and records at the Faculty of Law and Political Science of the University of Bamenda. Good evening, Prof. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, Madam. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful you thought about me during this National Day celebration.
Prof, yesterday Cameroonians commemorated the 54th National Day. We saw different parades in different parts of the country. But before talking about the celebrations, can you please take us back memory lane to remind us on what happened exactly on May 20th, 1972?
I must say that the decision to move from the federal state to the unitary state had its roots in circumstances, has its roots in political developments that existed between West Cameroon and East Cameroon, and has its roots in economic difficulties that were existing within the structures. And the structures that existed at the time, politically, at the level of legislature, we had 4 assemblies: the assemblies of East Cameroon, the assemblies of West Cameroon, the assembly, the West Cameroon House of Chiefs, and the Federal Assembly. And at the level of governments, we had 3 governments: the West Cameroon government, the East Cameroon government, and the federal government. And each of the 2 states had prime ministers. We had a president from one of the states, and at this time it was Ahidjo, and the vice president was coming from West Cameroon. So we understand too that there were 2 civil services that existed at that time. And so by 1972, barely 11 or 12 years into the federation experience, Ahidjo and his men had to go back to ask Cameroonians in a referendum which was legal to find out from them whether the existence of so many assemblies, so many governments, so many civil services was economically viable. And in his thinking, he was trying to see that he could try to strip away the framings that Cameroon had, both in French and English, to create a Cameroon unique culture that was not leaning on colonial framings. And so the decision can be answered to have been rooted on the circumstances that existed at the time and on the particular political divides that existed between East Cameroon and West Cameroon. And this is a process that one can say that it all started with the creation of a unified party in 1961 in French Cameroon, the creation of a single party for all of Cameroon in 1966, and eventually by 1972 it was just a way to ask the people, because along the road things were going towards this direction.
Now, you have clearly explained to us the changes that were made as far as the 1972 referendum was concerned. But then, before that, what was Cameroon's political structure, and why was the decision taken to move from the federal state to the unitary state?
Well, that question can be answered with a lot of debate. The debate can continue even after a year. In the mind of Ahidjo and in the speeches that were made by Cameroon politicians, West Cameroon politicians by 1972, and the vigor with which all of them went to campaign for the referendum, one would think that there was, at the start, an intention to scrape away colonial framings and to create a nation with its own unique nature. But what happened was eventually became a centralization of power and everything that exists in it, an attempt made by the ruling elite at the time, and even thereafter, to think that unity must mean uniformity. And in trying to make unity to mean uniformity, a lot of potentials, opportunities of people from West Cameroon didn't find the account balance in the unity in the United Republic. And so there was negligence to think that democracy means majority take it all. Democracy means majority taking what they can take, but with a consciousness of satisfying the minority. And so questions have been asked and answered about marginalization, especially of those coming from West Cameroon or British Southern Cameroon. But it has to do with the way power has been shared from 1972 forward. It has to do equally of the constitutional allowances that were not allowed to remain rigid when they were creating the Constitution of the United Republic in 1978. And it equally has to do with the fact that from 1972 up to when we speak, key ministries in the Republic of Cameroon have never been given to a people who knew and accepted that they were part of the state. So the lack of this consciousness is what has created marginalization. Because equally, we may say in the era of the New Deal that we have had the creeping in of favoritism, nepotism, and all the isms that are working counter to the concept of national unity. So there is a problem of the equitable distribution of power, the equitable distribution of resources, and the fact that the national cake has not been able to reach out to some of the people in former West Cameroon that believed they were part and an important component of this nation.
On marginalization, some critics, especially among Anglophone scholars and activists, argue that the May 20th, 1972 referendum weakened the autonomy promised to English-speaking regions during the reunification and equally led to increased centralization of power. Looking back 54 years later, do you think the referendum truly strengthened national unity, or did it lay the foundation of a feeling of marginalization, as you earlier said, among some Cameroonians?
Well, I must say that I am a mole of the 1972 referendum. I, as a youth, this day was a red letter day in our celebration. But for close to 10 years now, National Day has tended to be an issue of a talk of war between the government and those in the bushes, or those who don't believe in the workability of the unity. And so it pains my heart as an individual to feel that what was supposed to be a well-experienced and an excellent passport has become an issue of argument, an issue of confusion, and that hopelessness has crept into our state fabric in such a way that it is difficult to celebrate the national unity with its true colors at home as it used to be.
Professor NGAM, beyond speeches and May 20th celebrations, what does national unity mean to you, and what concrete actions should the government take to strengthen national unity?
Means the conscious, deliberate, and genuine efforts made by each individual within the states to ensure that there is social justice, there is the respect of the law, there's a feeling of belonging, and opportunities are supposed to reach out to each individual. It means that from every age of the country, somebody is supposed to feel that the state belongs to him. It means that certain individuals should not rise up in the public space and seem to feel that they own power, they own resources, they own the right to divide as they want. And concretely, I feel that there is no time in Cameroon history or in existence or coexistence or living together that the question of national reconciliation and healing is as important as it is now. 54 years down the line, I'm talking about national unity the backbone of Cameroon defense system and the rock of development, means that we need to go back to the drawing board and find out not only the original causes of division, because national unity is celebrated, more of the unity between French and English Cameroon. First of all, these problems need to be settled, and it can be settled by making sure that everyone is called on board. The elites, the traditional elites, the religious elites, the pen elites and the economic elites are brought to think together to draw a framework on how laws have to be respected and how they have to be made. It means that all politicians, those in churches, those in the civil service, have to be conscious and to give us a chance to know that whether I am in Marwa, I feel on a mind that I should go back home to sleep, knowing that the only state I have is Cameroon, knowing that Cameroon cares for me, knowing that the taxes I paid have been accounted for, and knowing that the people in power are legitimate because I have voted them. So we need to work in our institutions, work in the psyche of those in power to make sure that they gain the trust of the people. This way, to me, the problem of human security must have been in check. And this will work to strengthen the frame and the morale of the army to be able to defend our territorial boundaries.
Professor NGAM Confidence, thank you for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
I must thank you so much for inviting me, and I trust that any other time I'm available.
Professor NGAM Confidence speaking to us live from Bamenda, and that's what put a cap to tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us, but stay in the company of interesting programs as a program Equinoxe comes up in some few minutes. Bye-bye for now.